They will have another $70 billion to spend in like a year or two. And they're just gonna go after that. Once they knock the Fortnite domino down, it's game over for Nintendo. It's game over for Sony. So, have you been keeping up with current affairs on Microsoft's front?
Not on Microsoft's front. No. What's
No.
going on over
So let
there?
me tell you what's going on here. They laid off 9,000 people. Okay, 9,000. That's not a small number by any means. And most of the people are impacted from gaming division, right? So it's not just an Xbox problem, right? But Microsoft as a whole laid off 9,000 people. But the reports are saying that the majority of those layoffs are coming in from the gaming division. And so I'm kind of like in a state of like, what in the world's going on over there with Microsoft? Because if you remember from last week, and really even the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about how Microsoft's been strategically moving themselves into this direction of being like Sega, right? Being a publisher. But they just fired the game makers. What games are they gonna make?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like they're probably just gonna sell IPs.
So liquidate though, is what you're saying.
Like they're gonna say, "You want to build a Halo? Be my guest. Here you go."
I don't see I don't think that they do that though, because IPs are expensive and they'd want to keep that close to the heart. See, so I thought Microsoft's trying to become a software, just publish games, just like Sega, right? Because let's face it, have you tried to find an Xbox Series S or X?
No.
It's almost like if they don't even make them anymore.
Well, yeah, and plus you can do everything an Xbox can on a PC. So
Yeah. So they don't have a hardware division anymore. We saw the whole Asus Rally thing. So they're not making a handheld either. So they're physically not making devices. But that leaves them to make video games. But then how are you canceling all the games that you're supposed to be making? Because these weren't like low profile ones, right? Like this was like a reboot to Perfect Dark. It was the Elder Scrolls Online and a couple of other like key games that they were banking on having, and just poof, it's gone.
But are they still keeping the Gears of War remake for PlayStation?
I didn't see anything on that. So on that front, I think that's still on track, but it's still very concerning, right? Because another article I was reading is like, okay, so what's cause and effect, right? What's causing this, right? Because again, if you don't have hardware, which is your loss leader, right? Remember, we've been covering this over the last episodes where when you sell an Xbox, you lose money on the sale of that Xbox.
Yeah.
Right. But they basically stopped making Xboxes because you can't find it on Xbox.com. No Walmart, Target, Costco, nobody's got Xboxes. They're nowhere to be found right now. And it's been like that ever since they announced the tariff hike. Right? Like Microsoft, in a surprising turn, jacked up the price by like $100 and then stopped making them. So they don't have a cost. And so now it's just pure software. But there's like killing the software off. And that's where they're supposed to make the money. So the cause or the correlation is, well, how much of this is now impacted by Game Pass? Because
So Game Pass is only Xbox games?
So Game Pass is anything that's owned by Microsoft, right? I think Call of Duty would be included as well, which is now owned by Microsoft. But the challenge with the Game Pass, right, is it's $20 a month. And the publishers or the game devs don't get a whole lot of money because it's a subscription model. There's not a whole lot of money to be made. And the interesting thing that I read was basically Microsoft has been subsidizing the price of Xbox Game Pass to make it super enticing, right? Because Microsoft, the benefit that Microsoft has over especially over Nintendo, right, is Nintendo makes games. Microsoft has an entire Azure division that is just printing money on a daily basis.
They have endless money flow compared to Nintendo.
Yeah, basically.
Outside
and even Sony to a certain degree, but Sony doesn't really sell that many other products outside of, they sell cameras and TVs, but it's still a very niche market that they're in.
Yeah.
So PlayStation is definitely one of their, their more popular brands.
So do you think Xbox will eventually want to make their money back and increase the price on the subscription?
No, so I think the gameplay here is they subsidized the price of Game Pass, so they make it affordable. Because even at $20, like it used to be what, $10 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
So they subsidize it, make it super enticing, suck you in, right? Kind of like a drug dealer, right? They got to give it to you, and you just got to feel good. Got to give you, right? And so they give it to you, and then the competition can't compete, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Like the billions of dollars that Microsoft's sinking into Game Pass to make it attractive, right? It's significant. And no good company with any good, common sense would say, yeah, let's do the same thing. Right?
So
So
what
this
do
what
you
they're
think?
gonna
What do you think you're gonna do?
nothing. The company like Nintendo wouldn't offer one and Sony wouldn't offer one. I mean,
Yeah.
Sony has PlayStation now, but they intentionally don't put first party exclusives in there. It's more like a back catalog, which is cheaper to maintain, right?
Yeah.
But not so lucrative. And so that'll die off. Nintendo doesn't have one, right? And so then Microsoft's just going to be left alone, no competition. Guess what happens when there's no competition?
Monopoly. You can
Well,
do
yeah,
whatever you want.
and the prices go up. So
Mhm.
Microsoft they're playing a long game. The only question is, do people care for that? Like, do people want that?
So I will tell you right now, I had Xbox Game Pass. It's available for PC as well,
Yeah,
and I don't use it anymore, and I stopped paying for it. I don't think it's necessary to play games. You know what I mean? It's not like a core feature.
yeah.
You might like it because you like old games,
Well, for me, I don't like it because I'm only gonna buy 1 or 2 games a year on Black Friday, and that's it.
and you
So
might
I
not
don't
even
need to.
play them.
So I don't need to spend what was it, $20 a month times 12, right?
Yeah,
to play 2 games that I'm gonna play 5 years from now.
yeah. Um, it is pretty interesting because it comes with Xbox Live, that Ultimate Pass. So
Yeah.
it's Game Pass and Xbox Live together. But I used to have an Xbox account. I use it, but I don't need Live to do anything that I'm playing. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting paid. You don't. I don't have to pay Steam to play online. I don't have to pay
And
Fortnite to play Fortnite.
do you think either of those will ever change?
No,
Why? There's so much
because I'm
conviction in that no, but why?
because I'm paying for my games on Steam, but I buy and this is free.
Yeah, but I bought
I
my games on
download.
Xbox, and I still had to buy Xbox Live since
But
2002.
you don't need to buy a Xbox Game Pass. That's optional.
But the Game Pass was just a deal, right? The Game Pass started off as a
So we're talking about live now, like a subscription based online.
yeah,
I don't know. The only two people that have it, I guess three is PlayStation, but Nintendo and Xbox is the ones that I know. And Nintendo made theirs like, hey, you guys want to talk to your friends, game chat? You know, you need Nintendo Online. So I don't know. You might need it there because you literally need to pay for an online service to play online on Nintendo. But for
so
Xbox, they're not selling Xbox as anymore. They're doing it on PC. I don't need Xbox Live to play online on PC. You know what I mean?
so here's the question I got for you then. Okay, so assuming what you're saying is correct, which I'm not doubting you, but so if I buy, I don't know, Halo on
Halo Infinite on Steam, you can play online without Xbox Live. You can connect your Xbox Live account so you can merge it, but you don't have to pay.
okay, but hold up. But now, so let's assume that you have Halo Infinite on PC through Steam, and I bought it the traditional way through Xbox. I need
You're a
Xbox Live to
junior,
play.
and I am Tony and myself.
Yeah.
Yes, you can play together.
Now we can play together,
Mm-hmm.
but I need Live and you don't.
Get a PC, bro.
No. But
No, I think Halo Infinite might be free online. Actually, the more I think about it,
well,
or even
no,
Xbox.
no. But okay, bad example maybe, but the concept's still there. Swap out Halo for one that you do have to pay. But the bigger question is, though, but why does PC gaming get away with it for free?
It's better.
No, Danny, the servers still need to be paid. There's electricity that needs to be sent to a server that's joining the users.
Well, I think they make up the money otherwise. Other ways.
How?
I don't know. Let's look at Fortnite. I don't pay anything for Fortnite. There's a bunch of servers there. How are they making their money? cosmetics and
No,
all
I
those
mean, how much do you
things.
think? How much do you think Fortnite is charging Star Wars or Disney to have Star Wars that
Not
in the
much
game?
because Disney owns stock in it. Don't they
Yeah,
own
well,
like
that's owning stock is a form of a payment, right? Like they charge them $5 billion or whatever that number
it's a
was.
lot of money? I remember it was a lot.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like Fortnite's making their money. Fortnite's making money, so they can afford to give that service up.
So are we assuming that Xbox is not making money?
Well, there's two ways to always look at a business, right? You can either subsidize it, like Microsoft's doing with X, because like think about how much would Xbox Game Pass cost if you sold it at what it actually is supposed to cost. I would assume like $100 a month,
Yeah, nobody would pay that.
right? Nobody would pay that, so they have to make it $20 a month, and I think $20 a month is still too much. Like I would pay $10 a month, but not $20 a month.
You still in the mindset like Netflix being $20 is too much too, probably.
No, yeah, it's just too much, right? Um, but so dang, now I lost my train of thought. But Microsoft paid it, right? Microsoft paid that money. Somebody paid the extra $80 that's missing. The service costs $100 because the developers are getting their money, right? And so the same thing with this like PC online gaming, like somebody is paying for those servers. So that money's coming out of somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe server upkeep is like super easy nowadays.
I don't think so. It's only going to get more. It's only getting more and more expensive.
Hmm.
So it makes you wonder. The better question I have for you is: will you pay for online gaming on the PC when it arrives?
If it arrives.
No, it will arrive.
You think so?
You
I'll bet
can't
you
lose
your
money
house right
indefinitely, Danny.
now. I'll bet your house right now.
Danny, you can't run a business losing money.
Okay,
Why
what
do you
game?
think?
Because every
Look,
game is separated.
no,
It's like
because
saying PC gaming, I'm playing Spider-Man from PlayStation. That's PlayStation's deal. And Halo Infinite's Microsoft's deal. Fortnite's Epic's deal. You
yeah,
know
but
what I
that's
mean? Like
irrelevant.
they're
You're
all
just gonna play
different.
an online. But remember, Microsoft's unifying that online experience through in PC gaming. So remember the trend from last episode. If
So you
Microsoft,
think so? Microsoft will have a hand on Steam, and they'll start charging Xbox Live through Steam.
they're not gonna bleed. No, they're not dumb enough to bleed money.
But Valve is too big. Valve is not going to just let Microsoft eat them up. Valve is huge.
Yeah, but Microsoft's not gonna. Microsoft's gonna give Valve a kickback. Valve stands to make money. They currently don't make money, and here's gonna come Microsoft and say, "We'll give you money if you let us do this."
I just don't know, man. Because like Valve could make a lot of money by creating certain games that they have IPs on, and they just don't do it. They could easily make money. I don't think they care for money. I think they're making so much money with Steam, they do whatever they want. Because
I
Steam, I'm assuming is like Apple. Like when you buy something from a Play Store or Apple Store, like they get like 30% or something
yeah
like that. I'm assuming Steam is similar, and that's why.
yeah. I mean, the Epic Game Store is very similar too, and Epic it probably double dips too because they charge you for the for the rights to use the Epic Game Engine plus the sell.
Yeah, but they also give you a bunch of money off if you develop for their system.
Yeah, but I just think that it's just nothing is for free, and it's not a sustainable model. So at one point, somebody's paying. I guarantee you. It will go away. It has to go away, especially as Microsoft enters this arena. Microsoft has to make up money, right? Because they're bleeding money. Otherwise, you don't fire 9,000 people when you're doing okay.
Unless AI can do their job.
AI can't do it. The AI can't make the game. Like it's not there yet either. I don't know. All these reports of AI doing this and that. It's cool, but you still need a human in the loop.
I don't know. I've seen the AI romance bots. I'll call it romance bots. Have you seen that?
No.
They look pretty darn sophisticated. They said they helped human loneliness. It's like not going to be a thing anymore with these AI bots. It's like an actual robot, dude, from China.
Maybe.
I don't know, man. I think Xbox is. I think everything's going to stay the same for the next 5 years.
You think so? I'd give it the next 12 months.
What's changing? Sixth generation or whatever?
No, that Microsoft is stop selling hardware. They're controlling costs and they're looking for new ways to increase revenue. You got to understand. Have you ever seen a Wall Street report?
Nope. I
So
don't want to shoot myself.
you know what?
They all kill themselves.
Every company, every publicly traded company needs to make a report to Wall Street on a quarterly and annual basis. So basically, 4 reports technically, because one of the quarters is the year, right? And there's this thing called YOY. Have you ever heard of that?
Year on
year over year.
Damn, I was close.
Right? And so Apple is probably the easiest way to look at this, right? So Apple, what they do is on July 1st, the start of a new quarter.
So they're trying to show revenue increase so that more people will take stock into their stuff. Like, oh, yeah, these guys are making money. Let's put more money into it.
That's part of it. But the other part of it is they have to show increase. Otherwise, they lose investors. Right? They lose investors, and they lose because every investor wants their dividends. Right? And so they have to show growth. Otherwise, the investors go to another company and they sell and it crashes their stock. So Microsoft has to show year-over-year growth. Right? For every year, they have to show, even if it's 1%, even if it's 2%, whatever. It doesn't have to be very high, but they have to show that every year they move the needle up. And so right now, Microsoft is playing this game of, okay, we're not selling the things that cost us money. No more Xboxes.
Let's get rid of the people.
Well, hold up. So they got rid of all the Xboxes. They are not investing in R&D into making a handheld. They outsourced that. They're not investing into a VR headset. They outsourced that. Everybody saw the catastrophe that was the Apple's Vision Pro, right? And so they're outsourcing the things that would cost them money. 1. 2, they're canceling any game that's going to cost them money that they, for some reason, think it's not going to do well. Right? So all these games that are canceled, well, now you don't have to spend that money on those, right? So monies go to that new Gears of War, to the next Halo or whatever. So they're controlling that. So we're controlling the cost. We're controlling the holes on our ship that are letting the water in. So they're clogging those up. But now that they stopped that, now they gotta show investors that they can make the money. They're gonna go unify the PC gaming experience. Phil, what's his name? Spencer, right? Head of Xbox, has already said they are continuing, they're doubling down the next 12-month look ahead, because a lot of companies start their year on July 1st, right? Their next 12-month look ahead is PC and cloud gaming. That's where Microsoft's doing their investments. They are gonna come after that free online play. I guarantee you.
So what are they gonna do? You think?
Charge you $10 a month to play across
well, how can you charge on something that's been free? How are they gonna not upset people?
The same way Sony did it. It's not unprecedented. If you remember, PlayStation 3 online gaming was free.
So you just said, you want free? No more. And they just start charging?
Yeah. And also, I mean, in all technicalities, Xbox Live was free from the get-go.
But how can you? I just don't understand it. Does like if I want to download or play on my web browser, how can they charge me for that?
Because they own the game. You don't own anything, Danny. You're borrowing everything.
No, but they don't own every game. That's okay. So that's what I'm getting at. They don't.
But they're creating backdoor deals that allows them. The moment that they have that BattleNet 24/7 or whatever it was. Remember everything we talked about last time?
Yeah, but BattleNet, no one uses it.
It doesn't matter. They're creating deals. They're negotiating deals with Steam and Valve and all these major players and saying, we will unify the masses. We will create a platform, because now these companies don't have to invest in this unification. It increases their user numbers. It increases their sales. And Microsoft's going to say, we just get to charge for Xbox Live. Or the variant of that. Which again is not unprecedented because PlayStation 2, believe it or not, PlayStation 2 had online play. PlayStation 3 had online play for free. And when the PlayStation 4 came out, there was no free option even available at all. So they're just going to snap a line in the sand and go, you start paying. Because now Microsoft, again, has controlled their costs and their bleeding. And now they're focusing in on income.
Yeah, I see.
That's just low-hanging fruit to not catch.
But you can easily avoid.
By not using the Microsoft experience that they're pitching.
So you just avoid it. You just go Epic Games.
But while Valve lets you, what happens when Valve gets a significant kickback? Because Sony's not going to be able to do the kickback.
Then you just go to Epic Games. Because Steam and Epic Games are competitors. So Steam's going with Windows, and I haven't heard Epic Games doing it. then I would
Yeah.
just go boop.
So Tim, was it Todd or Tim Sweeney?
Tim
Okay.
Sweeney, the Epic Games guy.
Yeah. He's a smart pickle. He's a smart pickle.
He will be free because he knows it'll drive his sales up on his Epic Games if they do it. Because he's always looked at like letting the players and developers have more money, so he'll trend on being more
Yeah.
friendly. More
He's all about the developer. I'll give
Yeah.
you that. And so his is interesting, but with enough commas and enough zeros, Danny.
But he has Fortnite,
Right.
so he doesn't really need
Right.
commas and zeros. He has them already.
Well, hold up, Danny. Let me just playing devil's advocate here in the 13 minutes we have left. How much is Epic Games worth?
And you're gonna compare that to Microsoft.
So Epic Games is
Game Division, please.
so Epic's voice. Okay, so Epic Games is worth $32 billion. To remind me how much Microsoft spent on Activision?
$2 because
69 billion. 69 billion.
Got it.
You realize that this means that they can get Epic Games at 50% off Activision. That's a deal, dude. If you buy
How much is Fortnite worth?
Doesn't matter. You're buying the company. You're not going to buy just one game. You're going to buy the whole company.
If I were him, which I'm not, I would definitely not do the same route the other guys are doing, just so I can look different and more. Maybe my prices will go up in a different way. More players, more money. More players, more money. That's the thing,
dude. Microsoft's company swinging. Here's $40 billion. Take it.
Nah, he's making money year after year over one time, $40 billion.
Yeah, but he's also getting closer to retirement. He's got grandchildren to think about. You think he doesn't? You think he wants to be in the office coding all day, worrying about this and worrying about? You know how draining that Apple lawsuit has been on him emotionally, physically, mentally.
How much money he has right now, he doesn't even care, dude. He's like going to those Apple lawsuits in his jet.
Yeah, but that's on principle. He's doing that on principle because he hates Apple. But when Microsoft comes and goes, here, thank you for winning that fight. We'll take it over from here. Here's $50 billion. Go retire into the sunset. Enjoy the time with your grandchildren. We'll take care of Fortnite for you.
I don't know.
It's enough money, dude. I'm telling you, this is a play. Microsoft has enough money.
So if you wrote a book, Alex, and I know you, if you wrote a book and everyone liked your characters, it's the next Harry Potter, and someone asked you, hey, can I buy your book for $10 million? You'd sell it.
It wouldn't be unprecedented, Danny. It's a matter of the owner, right? And the situation you're in. If you would have asked me this, would Tim Sweeney sell Fortnite 20 years ago? The answer is probably no. But Tim Sweeney's 20 years older, right? This lawsuit, I guarantee you, took a toll on him.
But he cannot be the only one that owns Epic Games. No. Disney owns Epic Games, so there's like Tencent and all the other companies. Right. They're not going to want him to sell.
Danny, you don't understand how money works. Disney invested $5 billion or whatever that number was. The payout gives them $10 billion. So they made $5 billion in profit. If I ask you for $5, Danny, and I'm telling you, okay, if I don't sell, I can give you $1 a year for the next 5 years. Or right now, in this moment in time, I'll give you $5. What are you gonna do?
$1 a year for the next 5 years.
Right. But you're responsible to your shareholders right now. Your kid needs diapers right now, not in 5 years. Your kid needs diapers right now.
I don't know. I think
every CEO, every executive has to report to their shareholders today. They all value short-term. This is why not a lot of companies innovate, right? This is why like Meta takes a big hit because Zuckerberg can't get fired. He's the only CEO that I know of at all the companies out there that are publicly traded. Another big question is Epic Games publicly traded? I don't know. But Meta is the only publicly traded company where the CEO has complete power and cannot get fired. And so when Zuck says, I'm going to spend $100 billion on AI or $100 billion on this metaverse, there's nothing anyone can do other than sell the stock. But they can't fire him, right? But ultimately, Zuckerberg gets the pressure because he has to win money for the investors. And so it's the same concept. Epic Games has to make money for their investors. If a payday comes, right? Same thing happened with Twitter. You think Twitter wanted to sell when Musk came over and doubled the price?
So that's a huge number, though. He doubled. We're talking paying him out and then $5 billion more.
But Danny, Danny, Epic Games is worth $32 billion. If you double that, that's still only 64 billion. Microsoft still saved 5 billion over their last acquisition. They already spent $70 billion to acquire Activision. They can look, if you look at how much Azure makes from Microsoft on a given day, right?
Yeah.
They will have another $70 billion to spend in like a year or two. And they're just gonna go after that. Once they knock the Fortnite domino down, it's game over for Nintendo. It's game over for Sony.
It's privately held, Epic Games.
Right. So it's even better. They'll get a bigger discount.
Interesting.
So privately, okay. So I don't know if you know this. So privately held companies have a bigger problem. Okay. Every year, you give your company, your employees money, right?
Yeah.
And that money expires, right? So you have a salary, right? I can pay you, Danny, I can pay you $50 a week, right? But in a privately held company, I give you $10,000. Sorry. Let's just assume that I pay you like $50 a week, right? And I can go, Danny, if you come work for me, I'll only give you $50 a week, but I'll promise you that one day I'm going to give you $10,000. Would you do it? Or let's make it $100,000 or $1,000,000. And I tell you, Danny, one day I'll give you $1,000,000, but right now I can only give you $50 a week. Right? So you got to believe in that vision and that mission that I'm building, right? And you're going to come help me build this vision together, right?
Yeah.
But there's a caveat. When I give you that $1,000,000, it actually has an expiration date. Legally, it has to have an expiration date, right? And so only 2 events can renew that expiration date. Or I guess 3 events. One, I promise you another $1,000,000. Right? In that case, you're probably gonna go, huh, nice try. You're gonna have to give me 2, right?
Yeah.
But 2 pushes the runway out another 5 years or whatever it is, right? Event number 2, the company sells, right? Somebody comes in and goes, hey, Alex, I'm gonna give you $100 million, and now Danny, you get your $1,000,000 because I, as the owner, got 100 million, and I owed you. I promised you that million, right? So that's event number 2 that can happen, and it has to happen before I either renew you again for another 5 years, or I give you your $1,000,000 because I sold the company. And event number 3 that happens is we go public. We retain ownership of the company to a certain degree, but we open up stock and now other owners can come in. But those 2 last events have to happen for every privately held company. So Epic Games has to go public at some point. Like it's just they have to do it.
So what I got is there's 3 reasons why Microsoft won't and cannot get Epic Games. 1, ownership structure. Epic Game is privately held, majority owned by Jeffrey Sweeney. Tencent, Disney. Convincing Tencent to sell a significant share would require, because Tencent, have you heard of Tencent? You know who Tencent is, right?
Right. They're but huge. That's what I'm saying. But Microsoft can come in with $100 billion and triple the price.
Well, that's one. But here's the other one that I like. I'm telling, this is what I was trying to argue.
Yeah.
Epic's independent ambitions. Epic continues to invest heavily in its own growth, expanding its own game portfolio, Fortnite's evolution, Lego Battles Apples, and Unreal Engine licensing. There's no indication they're looking to sell, despite past franchises like Gears of War. I'm telling you, they're too big. Like they're
yes. But in these last 5 minutes that we have to wrap this one up, Danny. Yeah. Every privately held company has to take an offer to their board. And when Microsoft comes in and says, here's $100 billion, 3 times the worth of your company today, and Tencent and Disney and all just said, we just tripled our money.
They could, but remember what the last reason was when they bought Activision, everybody was upset with Microsoft because they're creating a monopoly. They cannot do that again with Epic Games.
But they got away with it.
But can they get away with it 2 times?
Why not?
And this is even bigger because Epic Games is not just Call of Duty. Now it's more.
But why not? Because Microsoft's just promising a more open environment. They know they already won and they already learned and they already paid the price for Activision from a legal perspective. They know the politics now. So now they know how to go and acquire the Epic Games.
But the article you sent me, the guy said, once if they do cannibalize everything, they will just make worse games, jack up the prices. That's the fear. That's
make no mistake. The user, we lose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want this to happen.
All right, but you, Danny, you're not getting 3 times the money they are. We don't get to
Uh,
pick.
I don't know. I have my hope that like the online ecosystem will stay Microsoft free in that way. I have a feeling. All right, so you're thinking 1 year? Bet your house on it right here. Shake on it. Spit on it.
You got to do the blood one too.
I'm taking your house. I'm gonna have my Master Chief helmets back.
Yeah, you got to get back.
One of them. Yeah, but that's my verdict. I don't think they'll do it.
I think from a business perspective,
Do
that Fortnite, if Microsoft can get a hold of Fortnite, it completes their dominance, and then Sony, and then Nintendo will be Nintendo, like you mentioned last time, but Sony will have a serious reconsideration because now now it's David versus Goliath.
No, Sony will become the hardware for consoles.
No,
Microsoft
because you have
will.
the PC.
Well, Microsoft will. No, yeah, but Microsoft will, if they want a home console, Microsoft will invest in Sony.
Right, so which makes Goliath even more Goliath.
That's what I'm telling you, man. Microsoft's not good.
We don't have monopoly laws, Danny, the way you think we're supposed to have monopoly laws.
Maybe I'm just too young to understand.
With the right lobbying, the right amount of money to the right political donor, you can make things happen. People will turn the cheek the other way.
Where's Bill Gates when we need him? I thought he was a philanthropist.
He is. He doesn't care about this. He's just spending his money. But with that said, folks, what do y'all think? Let us know down in the comment section. What do you think of this crazy prediction of where I think Microsoft's going to go in the next 2 to 5 years?
And what color should I color my house when I obtain it?
If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, drop a like, and we will see you next week with whatever other shenanigans we come up with. Bye, everyone.